Nice cold afternoon for some coordinated digging. These guys are putting in a new irrigation line, putting in 2 new pivots out here. Alright, you can see down here in the pit there's still not a whole lot of moisture down there. Once you get down a couple feet, this is down about 10 feet or so, and it looks like there is a little bit of moisture there, but certainly not what it could be. Alright, well here's why you always want to make sure your silage piles are covered. You can see up at the top of that pile there's about 1.5 to 2 feet of spoiled silage, and this is a pretty big silage pile, so when you figure that out, how many tons of silage that is, it ends up being quite a few truckloads that are wasted in spoilage. Now contrast that previous pile with this one, which was covered properly as soon as it was finished being compacted, and you can see there's no spoilage at all on here. So when you figure that out, how many tons of spoilage there was in that other pile, that's a lot of wasted acres. Whereas this, there was basically no wastage at all. Well, here's a casualty of the weekend's windstorm. This entire pivot, all down along the river bottom here, this whole pivot blew over. All the way tip to tail, all flipped over. So that ain't no fun. Alright, got some seed samples today from 2020 Seed Labs. So I got 50 grams each of wheat and peas. The wheat's got 21.5% fusarium and 7% ascochyta on the peas. So now I need to split these into 50 gram lots and figure out how to treat only 25 grams at a time and try to be somewhat accurate on that. Okay, I got my measurement figured out for how to treat 25 grams of wheat sample. So at the rate of 325 milliliters per 100 kilograms. It works out to, I need roughly 0.05 milliliters of Cruiser Vibrance Quattro to get this treated, which kind of works out to the not quite so precise 1.5 drops, because there's usually, depending on viscosity of a liquid, there's roughly 20 drops per milliliter. So I got a syringe with a little bit of water in here, so I can add a drop or two of water to thin things down, and I'm going to fill up this other syringe here with a little bit of Cruiser and see if I can get 1.5 drops in here. Alright, there's my seeds nicely planted in there. I got 25 seeds on each side. Much easier to see the treated ones versus the untreated, but they're all in there. So now I'm going to top them up with dirt, put about 1 inch of soil over the top, and we'll see what happens. Alright, I got some emergence on the wheat seed today. So this is the treated seed side. You can see we got a couple starting to pop up here. Little lamb's quarters, couple more. See, there's about 10 coming up there. Very, very early. They weren't up yesterday, just came up overnight. On this side here we've got 1. Looks like there's another one just starting to poke up a little bit there. So this, of course, is going to have 20% fusarium, so we should see a pretty good difference. Alright, here we are just a couple hours later now, and you can see we've got a little bit more emergence now. We got 10 plants up on this side, and there is 7 plants just starting to poke up in this one here now. So this particular product was promising a couple days earlier emergence, and we're definitely not seeing that, but it is only a couple hours behind, really. So definitely not what the marketing cracks it up to be, and maybe later on I'll actually tell you what it is. Alright, a few more days have gone by. We've got some further development on the wheat here with the 22% fusarium. So on this side we have a full 25 plants have come up. You can see our leaf tips are a little scorched because they were touching the light over the weekend. And on this side we have the not traditional seed treatment. This is just a biological, and we have 20. So there's a few gaps you can see here where a couple seeds didn't survive. But overall still not a bad stand, so we're only missing 5 plants on this side out of 25. So and as far as roots, here's the untreated side. So you can see we got roots pretty much going all the way down to the bottom. Overall looks not too bad, but you can see a few here and there that aren't super healthy, and that might get worse in the next couple days as the root rot starts to take over. Probably a bit hard to see here because of the sun glare, but this is the treated side, and you can see we got really good root development here. No sign of disease on the roots. Everything looks nice and healthy and white. And here's the side view. You can see the treated side on the right is substantially higher than the left, and I mean it did emerge on average probably 4 to 6 hours earlier, so it is looking pretty good in comparison right now, and we'll see how that develops over the next few days. Alright, going to do something a little bit different with you guys today. I'm going to take you through the Gowan Resistance Calculator. So to access this, you go to GowanResistanceCalculator.com, and that'll take you to a page where you got to fill out a little bit of information on your farm before you can get started. But once you get to this page here, you're going to make sure you click Herbicide Resistance Return on Investment Calculator, hit Next, fill out your farm name again. And I'm going to run a simulation on durum. So I'm going to get $7 a bushel for my durum, so fairly standard price. It's, we'll say dry land, decent year, you're going to shoot for 60 bushel. So I'm going to do a full section. We'll do 640 acres. And we're going to go with medium average kind of pressure for wild oats and kochia. So research has shown a minimum of 5% yield loss if wild oats or kochia are not controlled early, and more if they're resistant. According to your medium level of wild oat pressure, you could expect an 8% yield loss in your crop even if you get 100% control with the post-emergent herbicide. So AAFC research shows 69% of fields in Alberta have wild oat resistance, either group 1 or 2 or both, and kochia has been resistant to group 2 for over 15 years. Glyphosate resistant kochia is on the rise, as is group 4 resistant kochia. Do you have wild oats and or kochia resistance on your farm? Yes, because every field that I test does. So, resistant wild oats and or kochia results in more yield loss if you don't add groups 3 and 8 to your weed control program. With your medium weed pressure, you could expect a total of 16% yield loss, 8 from early season and 8 from resistance. So growing 640 acres of durum, it'll cost me 9.6 bushels per acre with an economic loss of $67.20 and a total loss of $43,000. I don't know about you guys, but $43,000 is a lot of money to me. So let's say I could use Avodex for just wild oats, or I might as well use Fortress if I can to get control of both wild oats and kochia. So if my field is 4 to 6% organic matter, I can use 10 pounds an acre. If it's less than that, you shouldn't use it in spring. So I'm going to use 10 pounds. And estimated application cost per acre. Well, let's say you bore our Valmar for $5 an acre, whatever, and spend a couple more bucks on your time and fuel. So let's say $8. So I'm going to gain $39.42 per acre, or $25,000 and change on 640 acres. So now this gives me a summary. So of my 640 acres, I would have lost 9.6 bushels. Or $43,000 that would work out to. And using Fortress, I gained $39.42 an acre, and my total gain across that acreage was $25,000 in unrealized yield that I would have lost. And down here, it's figured out exactly how many mini bulks I would need of Fortress to order from my retail, which is probably AgriPlus because we're the best. And yeah, that's it. So now if I'd gone and selected high density for wild oat pressure, then this would be the scenario here. So I filled everything out exactly the same, except that here I'm sitting at a 12 bushel an acre loss. So I would have lost $84 an acre, or just under $54,000 in total. So, and I gained $35,980 on that. So it just kind of affects how the numbers work at the bottom. So if you've never tried Avodex or Fortress, I highly recommend giving it a try. I see it at work in the fields every year, and I've always been very impressed with it. It works very well. So don't be scared to give her a try, or talk to your agronomist and see if it's a good fit for you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.